It's okay, Connor. It's okay. There's locals coming. At one point, you will be able to play actual cards with people. It's not just dueling book. You'll be fine. Just keep going. Hi guys, Freaky Fish Guy here with another video for you today. For those who don't know, England is in a weird spot right now with COVID. So locals, unfortunately, my area has been cancelled yet again. So for those who are counting, I've had 1 locals in about 6 months. There are some locals open in my further area, so a couple miles away. That does involve like me travelling further afield. So I might go to those locals and get some videos. But as it is, expect pretty much to no locals coverage coming up again. Sorry guys if you are liking watching our matches and things like that, but unfortunately with COVID we just can't risk it, which is fair enough. Unfortunately this has also meant that Yugioh has gone on a bit of a back burner for me. I haven't been testing as much because I just haven't been playing as much, and as much as I hate to say it, I'm getting bored of playing dueling book. Obviously though guys, I do still want to share my content with you. For those who do watch my videos, thank you very much. Expect less weekly uploads. Again, we're going to go back to the old thing where it was like 1 video a week, maybe 1 video a week and a half, just because again I'm running out of things to necessarily showcase. I have got some new decks coming that I've been wanting to build, so expect like a fish profile. Gotta love Freaky Fish Guy, gotta have a fish profile. I've been testing around. That has been something I have been enjoying doing again, going back to the fun crazy decks and not just playing like Eldritch, Dragma, all this sort of stuff on dueling book. It gets a bit boring. So today, skipping back to the point guys, we're gonna give you my updated Paleozoic Dragoon. I say updated, I literally posted the deck profile like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks tops now. This is because of changes that I made after that local, so a few more things that I refined to make the deck as good as it can be. So if you are interested in the Paleozoic Dragoon build, this is the updated list. Not much has changed in the main deck, but a few things have changed extra inside that we'll get to. Also give you a little bit more explanation on some of the cards. So to start off with, obviously we're still playing 1 Dark Magician, 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon and 1 Wyvern. Very simply, these are just the Dragoon engines that you need for to turbo out Dragoon. 2 normal monsters you never want to draw, but you can draw them and still use them in hand if you want to. And then finally the Wyvern. You do not want to draw this at all because it will ruin your plays the rest of the game. Very simply, Wyvern is cool because in the end phase of a turn you have it normal summoned, you can banish it to special summon a Red Eyes monster from your grave. That can be a Dragoon. This is how we get out a 3rd Dragoon if they've outed the first 1 or 2 effectively. So it's really nice. That is pretty much the only real monsters we're playing. The other 3 are just free Ash Blossom, just be some hand traps. This can be Ash Blossom, Nibiru, Ghost Ogre, Effect Veiler, whatever you need to play in your local meta. So this is just something I like to build against the meta, but if your locals, if it's still going on, has a certain deck that's very prominent, obviously switch around for that. If it's Infernobles, play something like Nibiru. If it is, if you've got access codes, you can go Effect Veiler, go the access code route, which I'll talk about in a minute. That's the only real monsters that we're playing. Other than that, we are playing 3 Red Eyes Insight to search out our 3 Red Eyes Fusion. So the Insight searches a fusion by sending Wyvern as cost from deck to graveyard. This is why you don't want to open the Wyvern. If you open the Wyvern, your Insights are dead, because if you send a Red Eyes Black Dragon, you obviously cannot use Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is also really nice because it is basically Shadow Fusion for free at any point. Give us our win condition, you can't summon for the rest of the turn, but we're playing Paleo, so we're just going to summon Dragoon and set 2 to 3 trap cards. The important being 3, not 4, of which you have no negates for the Dragoon. Next up, guys, we've got 3 Pot of Extravagance. We're playing Extravagance, not Desires, because obviously we don't want to banish the normal monsters in our deck, because then our Red Eyes Fusion are dead. Can't play Pot of Duality either, because again, our Red Eyes Fusions would then be dead. We can't special summon for the rest of the turn. Pot of Extravagance is really nice. We're not doing any more draw power other than just simply trying to turbo out that Dragoon. Rarely do we banish all of our Dragoon, but sometimes it does happen. But that's the same thing as banishing your normal monsters off the Desires anyway. So Extravagance is the best draw card we can play. Next up, 3 Super Poly. Very simply, this is an out to many problem cards. So again, it's an out to Dragoon. Dragoon isn't seeing a lot of play as much as I thought it would be. It's not as in like the tier 0 everything has to out Dragoon, but it is still a prevailing card in the meta. Sort of like where Masterpiece was in Zodiac format. Well, not everyone played Masterpiece, but you had to be prepared to out the Masterpiece. Super Poly though is very versatile. It's also good at outing other problem boards like Invoked with the Mechaba and Ecclesia. They can Super Poly those into a Mud Dragon. Dragoon plus Vert, obviously you go into a Starving Venom or a Predaplant Dragostapelia. You can do things like Shadow Winder plus Dragoon. There's loads of things you can do with this card that are very, very useful. 3. Paleozoic Dynamiscus. It is the best paleo trap card. A lot of people do sometimes play 2 because they don't like the discard fodder. It's great. It doesn't discard for cost. It targets, it banishes, it gets rid of things on the board. It can hit spells, it can hit monsters, it can hit traps. Anything that's face up, you just get rid of it. Great card. Next, 3 Paleozoic Canadia. Book of Moon basically on a trap card. I'm not playing with supers because I've sold my high rarity Paleo core while Toad came back to 2, because why not? So I'm always basically playing with my commons because also they stack better for those who don't know. Yeah, this card's amazing. It's a Book of Moon. You can do funny things like you can Book of Moon Infernobles that they can't Synchro Summon into, which has happened in a few of my matches, which is very nice. Book of Moon the Ecclesia when they activate a Fleur in hand, which means when Fleur summons, they won't get the effect to negate a card, which is also very, very nice. On top of this, we've got 3 Olenoids, MST, basically pop spell and trap. Really simple effect. It is our main deck spell and trap removal, so you can do things like you can pop the Mystic Mine if they just decide to do that. This is, again, a good thing. This deck does not auto-lose to Mystic Mine. So watch I think it was a Sky Striker match. I had Dragoon and like 3 set cards. The Sky Striker player decided to just go activate Mystic Mine, try and bait out the negate from Dragoon. Let Mine resolve, don't really care about Mine. And then I can just pop it with Olenoids if at any point I need to, or Dynamiscus as well. We are still playing 2 Morella. This card is a dead card half the time, but the reason we're playing it is it's a paleo that has a good effect, but I'm actually using it in hand for Dragoon. So when I set cards, this is the type of card I keep in hand to discard off the Dragoon for the negate, because it will trigger in graveyard. It's still got a goodish effect if I set it, so I can send Lost Wind to grave mainly, or a paleo to get some ball rolling. Next trap card, this is the MVP of any trap deck. We are playing 3 Ice Dragon's Prison. This card is insanely good, and I highly recommend it no matter what version of paleo you are playing. This just auto replaces Compulse, basically, if any of you are playing stats still. Target a monster in your opponent's graveyard, summon it to your field with its effects negated, and then if you want to, you can banish 1 monster on either field with the same type. Key thing is that you do not have to banish what you steal. So if you want to summon, say you're playing a mirror match, say something comes up is Eldritch, people play as an Eldritch, they summon their opponent's Golden Lord and then banish one of their trap monsters and then your opponent's Golden Lord, because they're still both zombies. Really good card. It does negate what your opponent banishes, but there's a lot of cool things you can do with this as well, including things with tuners that we're going to get onto. Generically good hand trap, 3 Imperm. It's basically a hand trap that's a trap. There's nothing really wrong with this card. We are playing still 2 Necro Fusion. Really nice card. This is still memey, but it does actually work. It's like I'm trying to think of another meme card that people played. Can't really think of one off the top of my head. Very simply though, you banish 2 monsters from your graveyard to fusion summon as if that was a fusion spell. In our case, we just banish a Dark Magician and Red Eyes Black Dragon to summon another Dragoon. This can also be in response to your opponent's Ice Dragon Prison. So they go Ice Dragon Prison, target your Red Eyes, or sorry, your Dark Magician. You then chain Necro Fusion, banish a Dark Magician and the Red Eyes to summon a second Dragoon, which will then obviously make their Ice Dragon Prison lose its target and thus resolve without effect. Really nice card. You can set it off Trap Trick as well, which is also really cool, and it triggers your Paleos. Cool thing is 1 Dragoon plus another Dragoon plus a Paleo is game as well, as assuming you've negated with the Dragoon, which is really nice, or you can just burn the Dragoon as well. 2 Lost Wind, it's not as good as it used to be. We're only playing it as 2 now because it's like a Trap Trick target as a discard for Dragoon, or it's a send off Morella. It's really nice in niche scenarios, although to be honest now I'm kind of thinking of taking it out for something else. Finally, true Trap Trick, only playing 2 because I've always been the person who says play 2 Trap Trick, not 3, because there's going to be those times you're going to open 2 Trap Trick and you'll be like, I can only use one of these trap cards are now really dead, which is really bad for a trap deck. You need to have as many resources available as you can, which is why none of the Paleo cards is once per turn, which is really, really nice. That is the main deck, guys. That is going to be 41 cards in the main. You can split it down to 40. If you wanted to, you could take out a Lost Wind, take out the Lost Winds and add something like a 3rd Trap Trick if you really wanted to make it a 40 card deck. Otherwise, I like the build as it is. Moving on now to the extra deck. This is where some of the changes happened. Obviously, we are still playing triple Dragoon. It is the win con of our deck. This card is dumb, and as long as it's at 3, this deck will be viable. So the game plan is very simply, you draw your 5 cards, you activate your Insight, you dump your Wyvern, add Fusion, activate the Fusion, send to summon Dragoon, set 3 trap cards, keep 1 trap card in hand for a discard fodder, and then your golden. You can alternatively keep 2 cards in hand, so you've got Super Poly, Dynamiscus. Basically, the idea is that you just stop your opponent from playing, and then in your turn, in their end phase, you can Necro Fusion for a second Dragoon. This is game because you can start popping cards and negating cards as well, which bumps up their attack. Stupidly good card. This won me games just because people couldn't out it, or basically it just oppressed them so much with its negation and its attack boost. It won me the game in 2 turns, which is incredibly quickly for Paleo. Dragoon is a lot better than Toad. Really sorry, Toad, but this is the better option if you're struggling on what boss monster Paleo should be playing. Next up, we've just got generic Super Poly targets, so 2 Starving Venom. They are alternate arts, but basically the same card. 2 Starving Venom, 2 Predator Plant Dragos to Palea. This is a Fusion monster plus a Dark monster, so it's an out. 2 Dragoon Vert and also Dragoon Winder. It does also give you a negate, which is very nice. It's slightly better than Starving Venom. Starving Venom has more attack, and also if it's destroyed, you can obviously wipe your opponent's board. And then finally, 2 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Very, very good, versatile target for Super Poly. It's basically made for Super Poly. Outs things like Invoke, Mechaba, plus the Ecclesia. Dragos to Palea can be also used on Invoke, so if they go Mechaba, normal summon Alistair to add, you go Dragos to Palea, makes the Dragos to Palea that way using the Mechaba and the Alistair. That way you can also negate Invocation if they don't have Meltdown. Obviously, guys, this is an updated list because a ban list, I don't know if you heard, a ban list came out, guys. We have Toad to 2, hype. Very simply, this is the one that was a lucky roll. This is the one that I immediately added. It is a first Ed Einolf. We have to play that card. Yeah, Toad's at 2. I'm really happy. It should be at 3, and I suppose maybe in December when we get another new list, it might go back to 3. This is making me think about playing frogs again, so expect, if you are going to stick around, a Paleo Frog deck profile rather than a Paleo Dragoon vid coming up soon as well. I'm really, really happy about this, guys. I love Toad. It's probably one of my favourite boss monsters ever. Please bring it back to 3, Konami. It deserves to be at 3. This card's great. We are not playing any frogs, though, so we can't use it as a standby effect, so it's basically just a one-and-done negate using it itself. It does, however, send itself back to grave, so we can repurpose it, use it. You overlay 2 Paleo for it, get a negate, get a 22 body, really nice. If it's sent to grave, it sends itself back to the extra deck, so you still keep your Paleos because they don't get banished under an X or Z, and you still keep your Toad, so there's no real resources lost. Well, you're still playing the 1 Anomalocaris. I took out the Opibana just because Opibana doesn't really do much in this build. Yes, it searches discard fodder, but Anomalocaris can be offensive as well because it is a 2,400 attack monster, unaffected by monster effects, which is the same for every Paleo, and it is a Dryden. You do need 3 Paleo to overlay for it, so it can be a bit slow to make. However, if you're winning so badly with Dragoon, you can still make this and start popping as many cards as you like. You can pop basically 3 cards a turn with a Dragoon and a Anomalocaris, which is obviously very nice. Things that have changed from the last vid. We are now playing 1 Vert Anaconda. Stupid things I discovered you could do with this. So yes, it needs effect monsters, but you can do things like you can use a Super Poly and your opponent using Ice Dragon's Prison monster to go into this to then make a Dragoon going in your 3rd turn. As such, you can do things like Super Poly, then normal summon an Ash Blossom to make this to go into Dragoon. Basically, it makes Dragoon more accessible. Yes, it does lose to things like Gamma, Imperm, and Effect Veiler, which obviously your Insight route doesn't. That's a really good reason as well why I like Insight. Basically, it just gives us more routes to Dragoon, which is very nice. You can never say no to more access to Dragoon, so we are obviously going to play the 1 Vert Anaconda. We are playing 1 Needle Fiber, just because, again, it is a really nice card. Before, we were playing a different link target, but I found a better route. Very simply, it's Ash Blossom plus a monster. It can be a Paleo monster. Obviously, Vert needs effect monsters, so Paleos don't work, unfortunately, but this can be any 2. So, something that I quite like to do is, if my opponent Ash Blossoms my Red Ice Fusion, then in their turn, I can go Ice Dragon Prison, target that Ash, chain my Paleo, summon a Paleo, summon the Ash, and in my turn, I can go Needle Fiber, and then Needle Fiber is going to summon one of our Ashes just give you 3 monsters, or 3 link rating I should say, on board, because that then obviously goes into Trisbania. The reason Trisbania is really good in Paleo is very simply, you can summon a Paleo to a zone it points to, Trisbania then trigger, trying to banish the Paleo monster as many spells and traps on the board as possible. Thankfully, Paleo is unaffected by Trisbania because they're all unaffected by monster effects, so it will just banish the spells and traps on the board. Yes, this does hurt you if you have a full back row, however, it also hurts things like Eldritch. When you use this, you're normally probably not going to have a full back row, because if you've already used them, you're going to have some Paleo monsters on board, maybe a Dragoon, things like this, which is very, very nice. And banishing an entire Eldritch player's back row is obviously perfect. It is pretty much a win condition. The other route you can do, guys, if you have an access code talker, you can replace these with a Selene and an access code talker, because then Needle Fiber will then summon an Effect Veiler from your deck, and then you go Effect Veiler plus Needle Fiber into Selene, get some spell counters up, Selene into bring back the Effect Veiler, and then make the access code that way. So Needle Fiber can be a 1-card OTK using access code, which is very accessible using any Paleo, plus any tuner being a normal summon Ash or Ice Dragon Prison from your opponent's graveyard. Finally, guys, moving on to our side deck. It has changed quite a bit since the last video. Obviously, in my last video, I said the main problem we had was A, winning games quite quickly, and 2, an out to the dinosaur barrier statue lock. Thankfully, it didn't happen, but if it did happen, I would have had very little outs to it, because obviously it can't be targeted under some orc. So the very simple thing that we did and more automatically was we changed out Gamma-Seal for 2 Gdala, because you can summon it under the wind barrier statue lock and thus out their barrier statue. Also, it's just still a good card use, so it can out things like Dragoon, it can out things like an Ultimate Falcon, because Waking the Dragon is a card people playing again, because obviously Feather Duster did come back. We are then also playing 2 Lava Golem just to out other problem boards. So in Noble Knights, there's still a problem to out if they make Charles, which is basically a towers. I've seen people make Charles plus Dragoon, and then this is just an out to that, because the one card yes, you out one card, but you still have to try and out the other. And the things Paleo struggle with is big things that can't be targeted. Because, like I said, Super Poly and Ice Dragon Prisons are good, but we do need more outs. So this is something there to get rid of big boards and more towers. 3 Cherries. We're still playing Cherries. A lot of people aren't playing this card, but I still think it's great, especially as us. We're playing 3 Dragoon. We can always just use that as a Cherries target to hit cards that are trying to hit decks, that are trying to turbo out the Dragoon. You can also hit things like Vert Anaconda or Needle Fiber if you need to as well. Really nice card. If there's something different you don't want to play, obviously please leave that in each deck, but for me that is doing perfectly. I did move back in the sales pitch now, only playing 2 opposed to 3. The logic stands that basically in my opponent's turn, if they search, I can also search a la things like Sangan or Witch of the Black Forest-esque effect. So I can search for a Lava Golem, I can search for a Kaiju, I can search for a Super Poly, I can search for a Red Ice Fusion if I need to go on the offensive. Really, really nice card. It does make me laugh so badly when my opponent goes activate Eldland. You change sales pitch and search for something like an Evenly Matched. There's loads of fun things you can do. We're still playing 3 Evenly Matched. A lot of people aren't playing this. Basically, I do not have Storms, so as such, I am playing Evenly Matched. If you have Lightning Storm, you could throw this in instead, but I still think Evenly Matched is a good card, this format. And then finally, we are playing 3 Heavy Storm Duster. I was deciding between 3 of these or 3 Sales Pitch. I picked out on the Heavy Storm Duster just because there's still so many trap cards in the meta. Combo has taken a hit, but traps are still up there. Things like Altergeist, Guru, Paleo, people were playing it again with 2 Toad, Eldritch, obviously. There are a few back row decks. Even BA is still seeing a resurgence. This was my build though, guys. I hope you enjoy the updated video. Like I said, like and subscribe, guys, because there will be some more content coming out. I'm doing a fish profile soon, as well as I'm trying to do an updated Monarch video, but unfortunately I can't actually find every Monarch card that I do own. I've even bought some more, but I'm still missing out on a few key combo pieces. I'm actually going back to, as well, one of my old favourite Pendulum decks. If you're a fan of the channel and you look back, you'll probably see which Pendulum deck I'm going to be updating. If you want to have a guess, leave a comment below and I'll give you a heart if you are correct. If not, try again. Very simply, guys, thank you for watching. This is Figgy Fish Guy. Goodbye.